What up? On this live, it is Tuesday. On this live, Tuesday, December 4th? Yeah, that's a good guess. December 4th. Excited. Today's been a pretty good day. Got a little ripping and running done. Got a few errands knocked out, which is always a good thing. What's that? Kayla wants you guys to know that she's changing Ava. Ava, she's apparently, I've been out of the house, been gone today, and she's been on 10. If you don't know what that means, she's been a handful today. So that's a good thing. Well, something not exciting. Something that went on today. I was driving on the road today, and I'm not the safest driver. I'm not the best driver, but I don't know if you guys ever dealt with this when you're driving on the road. Like if there's a super long line in like cars, like I just don't like to sit behind 20. What up though? I just don't like to sit behind all of those cars, and I just don't like to do it. So what I'll typically do is I'll go all the way up into the turning lane, the opposite turning lane, and I'll just slide my way in at the turn. And apparently the guy in the Lincoln who I cut off, I mean, it wasn't like close to where we're going to get an accident, but it was close enough, and he was pissed. He was laying on the horn, and he went around me, and he started speeding up, so I sped up. And when he got close to me, I just hit the brakes because I know he just wants to get in my face or whatever. So I don't give him the luxury to see me and point me out, chew me out or whatever. So it's not a good thing, but it saved me about 10 minutes because I mean it was over in near Birmingham, and a lot of those streets are one-way streets, and man, I would have just been in line for way too long, and I had a timeline to keep. I hate being late. So I'm not the best driver. I'm not always the safest driver, but I always get where I want to go in one piece. And I wear my seatbelt. So, Now here's a caveat. When the roads are bad, I don't drive crazy. I'm a road rager. I hear you. So when the roads are bad, I don't drive crazy. I actually drive slow. At nighttime, I drive slow. When it's wet outside, I drive extra slow. Even at nighttime, I'll turn the music down. I don't like loud music at nighttime. I don't know what it is. It's just like an automatic thing. So it's usually on the days when I can see everything, see the whole road, make sure that there's no cops or what have you around. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I feel like stop signs and traffic lights, they should be optional. Because I've been in some really, really, really long traffic lights. And I'm like, really? Like, I have to sit here for a whole 5 minutes. Some of them have been longer. There's one in Flint. It's a famous one, or infamous one, rather. And it's like, I mean, seriously, it seems like 10 minutes that you're stuck at this light. So I'll run a red light, if it's not endangering myself or anybody anybody around me and my passengers. I'll run a red light. Yeah. Road rage gang. Listen, you got to do what you got to do, I heard it, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. So I'd rather ask for forgiveness and save myself 20, 30 minutes, get home, on a decent time, in a decent amount of time. I think Caitlin is almost finished changing Ava. She is a poop machine. So to all the new parents out there, listen, I know what it is. I'll make some room. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
This is Caitlin.
Hey.
Stacked it up.
What up? Oh, I just kind of go like this.
My cousin is out in California doing some acting. He's got an acting class today, which is dope. We're excited to hear the results, see how that works out.
I gotta get my food.
I got you. What's been going on today?
I'm so tired.
Before we jump
I did a long story, a lot of stories talking about my day. I just feel like there's so much clutter in this house. Like, I mean, we moved into this house in summer, but it always just takes forever to get like the last minute things unpacked, and I just feel like there's some things that are just kind of lingering. And then also it's just like when you have kids, it's like even more stuff. Just
It don't quit.
it doesn't stop. And I'm like, I had these space saver bags of the old clothes from the kids, and like newer clothes for bigger sizes, and I just haven't put them away. And it's just been like, oh, and I couldn't get anything done today because Ava just, I don't know what's going on. She just must be growing or doing something.
Speaking of the space saver bags, apparently my sweaters, all of them grew legs over the summer and just walked out, because I'm a sweater guy and I don't know where any of my sweaters are. And I had a purge and got rid of a lot of my stuff.
I know where they are.
Okay, well then
They're gone.
I had a purge and I wouldn't get rid of my sweaters. That's not something I would do. I like to be warm. We talked about this before. So I don't think that I would throw out the sweaters. Maybe I did. Maybe they were outdated.
No, like remember you had that lady that asked like for some clothes, and you just went and you got rid of a ton of stuff. And I think you got rid of a lot of the sweaters because you're just like, I just want something new.
That sounds like something I would say.
You do that a lot. And I was probably like, are you sure? They're good sweaters.
That sounds like something I would say.
Sounds like something I would say too.
So yeah. So today I was just letting everybody know.
I need this today. Oh.
What was that, grape juice?
This is sangria.
Oh, okay, I thought it was grape juice. Communion. We used to go to church and they used to give you grape juice.
Shout out to Daddy coming through with to Dion coming through with the pizza.
A little hot and ready.
I was like, I can't make dinner. I just can't.
There goes that diet again. It's quick and easy.
Man, that pizza good. Anyways.
You want to jump into the topic? Oh. So I had lunch at D-Dubs, but I had a salad. And,
was that good, Ava?
But I almost put it on the floor. That's what that was. Yeah, so let's jump into the topic. So what are we talking about today?
So
This is our IG live. Yep, this is our IG live, and this week we're talking about.
And this week we're going to be talking about our trip to the Philippines. So, we lived abroad in Taiwan for 2 years. Taiwan is this small little island off of China, and while we were there, we took some trips to a couple other countries. We went to Hong Kong, and then we also went to the Philippines. So today we're going to talk about our trip to the Philippines and just talk about all the fun that we had. Just kind of like reminisce.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, we went. So we got. Hey.
Is that her head?
Huh? No, she's just tripping.
Yeah.
So we went, we got married in 2013, and
It's not time to nurse Ava. But she needs to give her that fork.
This is what I've been dealing with.
Technical difficulties.
All day. And you know what? This happened last week on the live, and I couldn't even concentrate because this girl, you did that. Look at her.
Oh, you got me forked up.
Anyways. What? So we went in. Hi. Ava
Hey,
says
what's
hi.
up?
Ava, look, who's that? Oh, here's Ava. Carter, we're not gonna interrupt Carter.
Yeah, he's got on his show.
Mm-hmm.
He's watching his show.
He's being good. We don't need another little one to come over here and interrupt us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went over to Taiwan in, at the end of 2013 after we got married, and so the very next year we're like, hey, it was summer, so English teachers don't work. Well,
Summer's off.
A lot of English teachers don't work. So we decided to take a trip to the Philippines. And we went for like 15 days or something. It was amazing. But it was our first like lengthy trip together. We decided that it was like our 1-year anniversary / honeymoon.
Yeah.
Because our honeymoon was technically Taiwan.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So we spent a lot of time like kind of scheduling it, or at least I did. I had a friend of mine who I work with, Ainsley. Shout out. He's a scuba diver, so he has been there a lot of times and kind of shared with us a couple places that we should go.
Don't look at yourself.
So, we were kind of putting together we put together a list of places that we wanted to travel to. And just a side note, that's one of the most funnest things or most exciting things about traveling is leading up to the vacation or leading up to the trip. It is
for real.
It just creates all this anxiousness and this good energy, good vibes. So that's one of the best parts about taking a trip. It's not actually the trip, but the planning and then everything that goes into leading up to the trip. It's a lot of fun.
What you want? You need a drink?
So you want to start off with Manila or?
Yeah. So before we did this trip, we had booked like Philippines is like a group of islands. So before the trip, we decided where we were gonna go. So the cities and the islands, and then we booked our inland flights. Decided how many days we were gonna stay at each place, and booked our inland flights. And then we only booked. Which hotels did we book? We booked one hotel.
I think the first night in Manila. So when we have a place.
When we flew into Manila. So which brings us to our first destination, Manila.
Mm-hmm. And it was cool.
You can't see anything, can you? Oh.
No, we got into the airport. We took a jeepney, and the jeepneys are kind of cool. It's those big Mercedes buses. And they were left from I'm not great with wars, but I'm thinking like World War II or Vietnam War or something like that. I think of Vietnam War.
It was or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and the Americans left a bunch of these jeepneys, and they're
Carter.
all around the
Your
islands.
mom wants to see him if she's still there.
They're
hi.
they're all around the islands, and so they were a lot of fun. So we basically just hopped on one of those and got a lift to our hotel. And the hotel,
we did not know what was happening, man. We were like,
it's kind of like a red light district, if you will.
Yeah.
It was a lot of X-rated activities in the neighborhood. But obviously, when we booked it, it was just a good deal. So naturally, we went with it.
We didn't really know where to stay in Manila. I mean,
it was a crapshoot. We had never been there.
Yeah, we had never been there. But we wanted to have our first hotel booked for when we got there because we knew we were probably going to be exhausted. We didn't want to have to search for a hotel and do all that stuff.
Although it was a short flight from Taiwan to Manila.
This is mine.
Yeah.
So Manila is Manila the capital of the Philippines?
Yeah, I believe so. We're gonna go ahead and say it's the capital. Not sure if it's the capital or not, but we're gonna say that it's the capital.
It is. Do you want to?
No, go for it.
So when we were in Manila, we actually Dion went and golfed.
Yeah, so we did a few things while we were in Manila. I hadn't played golf in Taiwan.
Oh yeah. For like a whole year.
Yeah, a whole year.
Obviously,
golf is a big golfer. Grew up playing. Met this one playing the game of golf.
I don't golf.
Yeah, she doesn't golf. But we found a course that was maybe a 20-minute drive or so from our hotel. So the hotel got us a taxi or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Somehow we got to the golf course. We rented golf clubs.
Oh my gosh. So I remember, okay, we were in the taxi. The guy was pretty nice, whatever. And the traffic is just like, oh my gosh, like horrible. Like traffic that you've never seen before. Just like and there's like no rules, like there's no lines almost. You know, people don't stay in the lines.
It's like an ocean.
Remember the taxi's like mirror got tore off.
Yeah.
It got tore off because it was like a
that.
semi or like a truck. Not a semi. I don't think there was semis, but they had a truck or something, and it was like, it's literally inches like this far away, and it tore his mirror off, and I felt so bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do remember that.
We didn't stop or nothing.
Good thing we didn't have our hands out the window.
I was like, oh, and we just hopped out of the car too. We're like, you know what? This is good right
We're
here.
good. Yeah.
We don't want to wait anymore because it was gonna be fun.
And we were fighting daylight sort of because it was the next day. We didn't even know where the golf courses was, and once we found it, we just wanted to kind of get going and explore the city. And we were stuck in traffic. Let's call it a half an hour, and we were within a short distance. We were like, you know what, my man, we're good to go.
We just walked the rest of the way. But yeah.
Went and played golf, had a great time. They I rented the clubs. They had a caddy for me, which was nice. So I walked around, and the only thing I was responsible for carrying was my beer, which was nice. And then that's when we got I think the first look of the level of poverty.
Yeah.
And I'll start by saying, like, you know, I don't want to come off as like some American or like down in the Filipinos or the Philippines islands or anything like that, but it was just a level of poverty that we hadn't experienced before. We were playing on the course, and it's a private course, and golf in Asia is kind of exclusive. It is in America, but there's public courses, and it's not at the same level of exclusivity as it is over there. And so only the wealthy people in Asia golf. And there were families and beggars that were living on the gates outside of the golf course, along the course, not just at the entrance.
Like they were cooking food and everything. But let me just make a note.
Under trees, like... You know.
Let me just make a side note right here. You know, that's when this is maybe just like a few years after like the hurricanes or the typhoons, whatever, had come through there. So like, you know, years and years after that happens, like people are still like devastated.
Displaced.
Yeah, displaced from this type of thing. Like, especially, I don't know, is Philippines considered a poor country, like a third world country, or?
Well, they have third world spots for sure. I don't know to say that they're a third world country. Certain parts of it is third world for sure. I don't know how they factor that, but so my game wasn't like on point at that time. So I was hitting shots all over the course. And I hit a shot all the way to the right. It might have been, I think I might have sliced it or something like that to the right. And I was along the tree line, and I felt bad because they had, like, you know, people sticking their hands through the gates, you know, asking for money. And yeah, so moving on from that.
Just to let the new people that join know, we're talking about our trip to the Philippines. And right now we're discussing Manila, the first place that we went to. But yeah. Anyways, when we left, we don't have to go through every single thing, but we saw like the shanty towns, kind of. Yeah,
in Manila. Like when we were flying out of Manila, like I hadn't seen, like, I know in Flint and Detroit, you know, they've had like blighted, you know, cities and a lot of abandoned houses. Ain't nothing on those shanty towns over there.
It's like that like corrugated metal that you see,
like shacks.
Look
like you can walk up and just push it, and it'll just the whole neighborhood will fall down. That's what it looked like. You can Google it. Manila, like the Manila hoods and Manila ghettos and whatever.
It was like extreme. Out of a movie.
Yeah.
I was like.
We were flying. We were taking a taxi over the bridge, and we like, did you see that? And it was like, you know, a whole neighborhood, whole town.
City, like a city.
Yeah. So the level of and we'll move on from Manila, but the thing that was so remarkable was the level of poverty. Like when we were in the cab. Oh yeah, go.
This is significant. I feel like when we were in the cab, like a toddler, maybe a little bit older than Carter. Carter maybe like 4 or 5. A naked 4 or 5-year-old came running up to our
We
cab.
were like at a traffic light or stuck in traffic.
Knocking on the window, like asking us for money. And we're like,
Yo, I ain't never seen that before. Like, he didn't have no pants on.
naked. No,
pants.
I'm not even talking about like a diaper or underwear. I'm like completely butt naked.
Yeah.
It was very, very sad. Like,
Yeah,
it was so sad.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just like cannot believe. And you know that their parents are, they're targeting people. I mean,
tourists.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that to say that they don't need it. They obviously need it, but that's just what they do. They know that they'll give them money and stuff.
Right, and it's just, and again, we're not like passing judgment or anything. It was just our reference and frame. It was just something I ain't never seen before.
What?
I was like, yo, I ain't even seen no movie like this, really.
Right, we never have seen any type of poverty like that. Like we have seen poverty, but not like that.
For me, the most tripped out part is like, there's a lot of crime, right? Where there's poverty, where there's poverty, there's crime, and it was crazy because we would be walking. Let's just say you go to a Starbucks. You go in a Starbucks to get a coffee. You got an armed guard sitting there with the AK-47 assault rifle.
Yeah.
Like out front, and all the businesses, they have private security because obviously if they're dealing with crime and people being robbed and held up, it's not just at the banks in America.
At Starbucks.
At the banks, obviously you want to make sure nobody's trying to rob the bank. But you go into the grocery stores, walking into the mall, you go to JCPenney's. You know what I mean? So it's there more so, I bet, as a deterrent. I don't think they actually need to use it. It'd be funny if they weren't even loaded, but I'm sure that they were. Yeah. And they were everywhere. It wasn't just a couple places, not just the coffee shops. It was everywhere. You see loaded guards. I wish we would have took some pictures of it because it was bizarre. I'm like, yo, what's that for?
Yeah.
What are these for? Like, y'all got some good coffee.
I don't know if it was the hotel people or whoever, but they warned us like to be careful about our
luggage
bags
and walking on the street.
Yeah, like to not put it on your back because what they'll do is they'll slit the bag open and so all your stuff will fall out. So they're like, oh, put it on the front of your body.
If you're wearing a backpack,
and
do
in
not wear it
places
on
like in places
they'll
like
follow
that,
you and target you.
American passports are valuable. Are very valuable.
Yeah, worth about they said like 10, 15,000 on the black market.
Yes, laughing. What's that for?
What's that for? Exactly. That's it's an inside joke. But yeah, so that's what it was with Manila. So there was a couple things that was just really bizarre. So
basically, we spent our time in the mall, which was nice because we missed Western food, and they had a lot of that.
We had a lot of stuff for that, and then after that we went to where did we?
Flew to Palawan.
Palawan. They say Palawan.
Which is the name of the island.
Palawan, whatever.
But we flew into Puerto Princesa.
Which is like the capital or the main hub that you fly into in Palawan.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy because all of the islands in the Philippines are different. Like the people are different. Like the people in Palawan were totally different from the people in Manila.
It's a different vibe. Well, it's an island, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Manila's more so a city, a lot of jobs, a lot of people, it's very congested. When you get out to the islands, it's different, and again, like you mentioned, when they have those hurricanes, monsoons, floods, whatever, all those major storms, and wipes out their homes on the island and their crops, because a lot of them do like farming. They farm for their food. They have to move to where they can survive. So a lot of times they just move to the island and they don't have, or to the big city like Manila, and they don't have anything. So that's where a lot of the poverty, I think, stems from. But going back to Palawan, we had a blast. It's a beautiful island.
Oh my gosh!
We did a few cool things.
Nice there. Yeah, we did do it. We had planned a couple things. You
planned a couple things. I went along with it.
We went to. We planned to go to this famous place, this underground river. Which
it sounds really neat doing an underground river, but honestly, in my opinion, it was
cool, but it was stinky.
It was full of bat crap or
grandma says hi.
Bats, guano,
yeah, they're
or whatever.
Don't look up and open your mouth because you might get bat poop in your mouth.
Yeah, I expected more from an underground river. But,
really?
yeah, I don't know I figured it would be like a bit cooler.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean,
Sounds
I
cool,
felt
right?
like
Underground
the
river?
destination was cool, like just seeing all the sights and everything.
Yeah.
And we got to see a lot of monkeys, and they told us to be really careful because the monkey, like if
And
you
those kimono
unzip.
dragons.
Oh yeah, they said if you unzip like your bags or whatever,
They'll get you. They'll take your cell
Those
phone.
monkeys will get you.
Yeah.
But
It's funny to see like a monk.
Nothing happened to us, but
They'll steal anything if you got it laying around. The monkeys will come
Yeah.
over, just grab.
I mean, there's monkeys in Taiwan, but
Monkey
like
business.
These monkeys were like we had never seen any monkeys up close in Taiwan.
Yeah,
At
that time.
They were very familiar to people. Let's just
Yeah.
You are done.
Yeah,
You're done,
so it
girl.
was kind of cool to see monkeys
done.
in the wild and just see them just like coming up to you and hanging out.
She's done.
You're cut off.
She's biting me.
You're cut off, Ava.
No, we're done. We don't do that to mommy. But yeah, so we do have a good story though for you guys.
What's that?
Remember when we were in Puerto Princesa?
Yeah, I'll let you tell that.
We were like out and about, kind of just wandering around like the main area, and we found this like Bob Marley bar. And so we're like, oh, let's like have a couple drinks, and they all speak English, right?
Yeah.
So
especially around those tourist locations
Yeah.
because that's a big part of their industry, and I think that's their native language.
They mostly speak English.
They speak Spanish. It's like it was colonized by the Spanish,
Yeah.
but yeah, English.
Yeah, so and we found this Bob Marley bar, so we're like, oh, let's drink, and like we were drinking.
So we started maybe around like 12, 1.
Early afternoon, and we just kept going, and we met like this one regular that goes there, and he was really nice and just like talking to us about stuff. I don't even remember, it was so long ago, but we basically did not eat anything like we had planned to. That was like our purpose of going out, right?
Yeah, we'll go find some food.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's have a drink first, and then we'll get food, and then we had
started
drinks,
talking.
and then we never got food.
And I think we got like somebody ordered a pizza, which was delicious. When you're drunk
And hungry.
any food was just like, oh, it's amazing. So like, yeah, we had this pizza like I don't even know, late at night.
Mm-hmm.
So by that time, we had no food in our stomach. We had just been drinking, and we were like wasted.
Pizza obviously is a common theme with this family. And yeah, so fast forwarding, like we had a lot to drink, and I'll tell a story from my point of view. I decided that I wanted to pizza love. I decided that I wanted to get a bite to eat, so I took one of these little
They're like
scooter sidecars. So it's like what you see, like you got like a motorcycle, then you got like a little sidecar with like a little seat attached to it, like welded on there. So I took one of those.
tuck.
Yeah, maybe 2 miles down the road to. It's called Jollibee, which is kind of like McDonald's.
Oh, I thought you were going to McDonald's.
No, not with the Jollibee, and they were probably closed. So I went and got some fries. And I felt like I was going for 5 minutes. Apparently, it was closer to maybe half an hour, an hour.
I was like, "Where's Dion?"
She was having a
tell
meltdown.
me.
She was having a drunken meltdown.
I was just sitting there, like, kind of like trying to be cool. But in my mind, I'm just like, "Oh my
Be
god,
cool. Oh my god,
where's my husband? Like, he just left me here with all these like strange people that I don't even know. Like, they're like talking to me, so I'm trying to act like." You're drunk and you're trying not to act drunk. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to be like,
did you pull it off?
be cool. Probably not.
Like, what's wrong with her?
And I was like, I got up, I was looking down the road, and I asked the guy, I was like, hey, where did Dion go?
Yeah.
But I don't really remember anything past that.
Yeah, so
Finally, Dion obviously came back.
I returned, and I don't know if I had any food or I got rid of the evidence. Either way, we were safe, but it was a big episode. And looking
a
back on
common
it, I get
theme.
it. Yeah, looking back, I get it now. You know, foreign country, you don't know anybody, you just and then.
But you were also drunk, so it's not like
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So I had my judgment was lapped as well. So the next morning, I probably experienced my worst time in an automobile.
Okay, so
See?
this underground river trip was the next day, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
We had to leave at like 5 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning. Like they were coming to pick us up from our hotel or wherever we were staying. And that early, we were up for like we only had 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
could
And
only
and,
sleep
no,
for
and
2 hours.
normally that's fine when you're not driving and you kind of got like a lax schedule, but
But this is mountainous.
yeah. So to get to the underground river, we had to go all the way up a mountain, and it was
like a 4-hour drive.
no, I felt like it was more than that.
Well, it took like 4 hours to there, and then we had to go to El Nido after.
Oh God, yeah. Four. Okay, it was a 4-hour ride,
In
and
like a van.
and it was a van full of passengers. So without exaggerating, because I remember it vividly.
No, well, not to the underground river, but all the way up to El Nido, it was like that, I think.
To El Nido, I think we had to have at least 16 passengers in like a 10 or 12 passenger vehicle.
Yeah.
And we were literally jam packed, and I'm 6'2" with shoes on, and
Yeah, for
we
Dion.
we were squished. I was highly hungover, and we were going up a winding mountain. And when I tell you, like the roads were this small, like it was like a cliff, and it just kept going and going and going for hours. I was in torture. There was a lady that had a newborn, probably around Ava's age, that cried half of the
she was pregnant.
half of the trip.
And she was pregnant. And she was puking.
Did she throw up in the van or did we
threw
pull
up
off?
in the
She was
bag.
throwing up in the bag
While we were
traveling because it was, I get the motion sickness, and it was horrible.
Just for the new people that joined us, we're just talking about our trip to the Philippines that we had. Ooh, what's happening? Our trip to the Philippines that we had in like 2014 when we lived in Taiwan. But yeah, so
It was unbearable. I
Yeah.
wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
yeah,
I would
Dion
not do
doesn't get like motion sickness, but I do.
it. Was unbearable.
Yeah, he
It was
was
unbearable.
having a very, very difficult time, as well as me.
So
But I'm used to that type of stuff.
if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would fly directly into El Nido because I believe they have like day flights or something like that. It's a small kind of recluse, it's a small
Yeah.
place. So
But we knew that it was a place we wanted to go because everybody said like to go there.
this is a place you got to go
Yeah,
if you go to
but you-
Palawan.
Yeah, we did like the van. I think flights maybe for the flights they maybe fly in like a little bit north of there to like Coron.
Coron, which is also another like scenic destination.
That's like a big scuba diving place.
So I want to cover some of the other stuff, but I do want to talk about El Nido.
Yeah, well, I mean we're talking.
El
What's up? You trying to?
No, I'm just thinking with El Nido, it was pretty immaculate.
El Nido was amazing.
It was immaculate. To me, it was it's like when you go on your laptop and you buy your laptop and it's got the screensaver that's already on there, the
Like-
pre-installed.
Yeah.
That is like the place that El Nido looked
It's
like.
like any picture that you took was like gorgeous, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be like an amazing photographer. You just be like, oh, it'd be an amazing picture.
And we were there for 2 days.
I don't know, but I remember
few
that we
days.
tried to change our inland flight
To stay there
to
an
stay
extra
there
day or
longer,
two.
but we just couldn't. They basically wanted us to just like
We already
repay
purchased a
it,
flight, yeah.
forfeit
So
the money and repay the money or whatever. We're like, man, which kind of bummed us out. We're like, you know what? Let's like make the most. We did a snorkeling tour.
Yeah.
That was like, I think.
We've done snorkeling before
Yeah.
on a few different occasions.
But this was amazing. The water is so like blue and so like clear and tons of like beautiful like colored fish and like the coral reef and stuff. Yeah. It was just like really, really pretty. Like, oh man.
Yeah, it was a really good time.
Yeah.
And we did a tour with some other travelers, and so basically what we did was we went island hopping. So we got our snorkel gear, we went to one area and got to snorkel around there, swam around, and then we loaded back up on the boat and went to a different part of the island.
It was like five different islands we went to.
Around El Nido, and it was.
And then they even like there was a place we stopped and they like
cliff jumping, which was dope.
They cooked lunch for us
on the beach, yeah.
Yeah.
So while we snorkeled, they set up the whole.
It was so cool.
Catering.
It was like traditional like Filipino food, and it was great.
Yeah, it was a good time. We would go back. Long story short.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was really
we didn't
nice.
Want to leave El Nido, but it was like kind of like a small little town, and it was so small that it's like you have like the power goes out at certain times of the day.
Yeah.
So like our hotel, it was like they didn't have power from like 2 to I don't know, whatever, like 4 or 5 hours a day. They don't have any power. It's like.
Which was weird for us. We were like, okay, we're staying in a hotel, but we can't charge our phones or use a computer during the daytime.
Yes.
But it's just how they manage the power. So they shut it off during the day because I guess most people are out exploring the island. So
Right, and it's probably built up by now. They probably have some more stuff built up there. You know that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dion met somebody.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. No, I thought it was cool. Like, cause you coming from America, we always, hear people that travel and I always like to meet people and chat with different people while we travel to hear their story and learn a little bit about them. And it was cool. I had met a guy who owned a bed and breakfast in El Nido, which is a town that's off the beaten path. I mean, it took us like
10 hours.
Yeah, to
in
get
a van.
to get there. Yeah, it was a long trip, so it's not like just like kind of like your local spot. So he owned a B&B there, but he lived in Hong Kong and he worked for the Wall Street Journal. So he was like the Asian correspondent for the Wall Street Journal, and he had owned a B&B. So I thought it was just pretty neat to see like an American. He was from New York, living in Hong Kong, and what he told me is he would come back every 2 months or whatever, stay for a couple weeks, and then go back to Hong Kong and just kind of alternate that way throughout the year. And I said, that's a pretty cool lifestyle. He was a younger guy, I'd say probably early 40s or what have you, but I thought that was just a neat little point to see, other people out there living and enjoying. And I would imagine it's pretty affordable. Like the cost of living over there is really low, in all of Southeast Asia all together. The cost of living is super low. Like I don't know how much we spent on our entire 2-week trip or whatever, but it was pretty reasonable. I would say if I had to guess, maybe the property that he had maybe cost him maybe $20,000-$30,000 US dollars, if I had to guess. And it's like a slice of paradise.
Even that.
If that much, So yeah, that was a really cool place.
Oh. So our friend, she said, I was born in the Philippines and have never been to El Nido. So glad to hear y'all enjoyed your time in the Philippines.
Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing. We'll
you
get
gotta go
back
to El
there.
Nido. You gotta go to El Nido if you ever. I don't know how often maybe you go back or if you go back, but it's like.
Yeah, it's nice.
Awesome. We love Palawan.
We gotta post some pictures just so some people can see.
I know we will. They're on the hard drive. I gotta get out. That's what I was trying That was on my list of stuff to do.
Okay. Well, so what? Yeah, right. So what's
But
next?
yeah, so after El Nido, we took that horrendous trip back down to Puerto Princesa because that's where you could fly out of.
We were not excited about it, but
No, but
we had to
it
do
wasn't nearly as terrible this time.
Yeah.
Because
What
we
goes up
were
must come
not,
down.
we were not hungover this time around, right?
True. True.
So we got back to Puerto Princesa and we left out and went to Cebu. Cebu slash Bohol.
And
Another.
side note, for all the people that are internet marketers or people that that have ever used like a VA, if you've ever used like a VA out of the Philippines,
Virtual assistant.
Yeah, virtual assistant.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay.
And grab two. If you've ever used a virtual assistant out of the Philippines, chances are they were probably located in Cebu, which is like kind of like that's like their main industry. Detroit makes cars, Flint makes cars. Cebu, they have a high volume of virtual assistants, and they, virtual assistants you can use them to like do copywriting. You can have them like do like video editing or photography editing or just about anything, man. Like, I've used a VA in the past for, from some ad. Oh yeah, Ava doesn't like VAs apparently for administrative work or whatever. So chances are they were out of Cebu, but Bohol is an island off of Cebu, and my friend Ainsley told us, he had went diving there before, and it was a good location, and it's a place that we might want to check out. So, yeah, Ava is mauling this celery. She is taking it to town, which is good because she's not crying.
She must be teething, man. Acting like this.
Yeah, Ava Christine. I got a buddy of mine that just had a daughter a couple days ago. Funny enough, their daughter's name is Ava Christine.
Right.
It's crazy.
But they announced it before, and Dion was like, I'm not going to tell her.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin it for him. You know how people are with baby names. People are, with baby names like, oh, I wanted to name my baby, Caitlin. Yeah. No, I can't, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's a common name. But back to Bohol. Thanks.
Yeah, so from Cebu, you had to take like a ferry ride over to Bohol.
Yep.
So we did that. So by the time we got to Bohol.
Oh, baby. Okay, go ahead. I got her.
By the time we got to Bohol, it was like dark. It was night, right? And, like we said in the beginning, we only booked our first hotel. We had our inland flights booked, right? So we knew where we were going and how many days we were going to be in each place, but we did not have hotels booked, which was the best way to do it because you're not going to find every place online.
And we didn't know whether we were going to. I was just nudging.
I was just
nudging you just to nudge you. And we didn't know if we were going to change up our travel dates, and like we wanted to leave a little bit of flexibility. And a lot of times it's just easier. To find lodging there because some places are not online. A lot of places are not online just because it's not that kind of party. So.
And we use this site that's used in Asia. It's similar to like Airbnb.
It's like hostels.com? I think it's like hostels.com or something
it
like
started
that.
with an O, like not Oasis, but something.
Yeah.
It wasn't Airbnbs, but it's for like hotels and just any place really. And we use that kind of like when we are around whenever we would find Wi-Fi to kind of search in that area if they had anything. But other than that, we searched online kind of like maybe a cool place to stay, like an area. And then we would have like a tuk-tuk driver take us over there, and then we kind of like go around and look for different like places to stay and ask like the price, and things are negotiable there.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anyways, we got there at night. So, like
we were exhausted from traveling the whole day, mind you.
Yeah. So here, our driver, he's dropping off people at these like grand resorts.
They were nice.
And we're not seeing anything around, like nothing walkable. It was just like resort, drop off this person. Drive a little ways, resort, drop off this person.
We're looking at each other like,
where's the like area with all the restaurants.
The town,
yeah.
like it was like super remote. We're like, yo,
I'm like, on the map, it looks like there's a lot of stuff,
right,
but
for
is
real,
there?
for real.
There was. So just towards the end.
There was.
And so towards the end there was, and we just we
Just had to wait on it. Just wait on it.
Yeah, we just had to wait on it. So yep, we found a spot, and it was more than what we wanted to pay, but we're like, F it.
F it. F is short for forget that. No, not really.
Yeah, so we just stayed in this place, and it was cool. And it was kind of like at the end of like this little strip along the beach, of a lot of restaurants and other hotels.
We basically just threw in the towel and we relented. Like, yo,
like, whatever,
I'm
we don't
tired. I'm tired. I don't care.
It was probably like 1,200 pesos or something.
They could have said, we want the rights to your first child, and we would have just been like, yo, whatever.
We don't even care.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was okay. And yeah, so that was cool. We stayed in Panglao, Panglao Island, which is off of Bohol. So we flew into Cebu, we took a ferry to Bohol, and then we had like a little driver drive us over to Panglao Island.
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool. There we rented like a motorcycle, and we drove like all around Bohol, which was awesome.
We had a good time. Yeah, we
it
basically.
was fun. Dion played basketball with some kids.
Oh yeah, I got photos.
On like a dirt basketball court.
They play like crate ball over there. So we're talking about our trip in the Philippines. We're talking about our trip in the Philippines and kind of bouncing around some of the islands. And right now, we're discussing our trip to Cebu and the island that we stayed, Panglao Island. And so we rented like a little mini bike. Not a scooter, but like a little mini bike and
dirt bike. It was like a dirt bike.
And took it around the island, and I ended up playing basketball with some little kids, and there weren't a lot of African Americans or black folks, that travel over in Asia. I felt, and then let's trade for a little bit. And so I was scootering past and saw these kids out there hooping, and naturally. I'm a natural hooper, and I had to give them the business. I had to give them the business.
They were excited.
Yeah, they were excited to see somebody like Kobe. I was, Kobe-esque. And so I went out there and just gave them that little easy lay. But we had a good time, and it was like literally on like dirt.
Yeah.
Like it was like dirt.
But
I think we got pictures. It was a lot of fun.
Our purpose of doing the motorcycle was because we wanted to go to these different sanctuaries they have for these, like, what is it called? Not extinct, but endangered.
Yeah.
Endangered, like, animals.
They're called tarsiers. They're like...
Look it up. They're so cute.
So
they're
when
like this big, little tiny. Are they the monkey family or whatever?
So when you see them...
Ape family?
Definitely like Jordan. Kobe. Sorry, I had a face full of pizza. When we went out there...
oh my gosh.
The little tarsiers, they look like aliens, not gonna lie. They look like aliens.
And it was so hard to find. It was like they had these huge
They're like this big.
eyes.
They're like this big, and their eyes are like this big. You gotta go Google them. They're called tarsiers.
But you know what's sad? We went to a sanctuary where they had them, right?
And they were closing, but they looked out for us. I said, yo, I'm Kobe. Can I see the tarsiers? They're like, yo, Mr. Bryant, come on in, Mr. Bean Bryant. So, anyways, but they were closing.
No, they were Westerners that ran.
Oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
Like they were doing not a study abroad, but like a
work study.
Yeah, work study or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what's so sad though is the reason they're kind of like, I don't know if it's endangered. I don't know.
Let's just go with that.
All right,
endangered.
They're endangered is because a lot of the people there, they will capture them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they told us this. I'm just now remembering.
Send them back to their planet. I wish.
They will capture them and keep them in cages, and like for show, like to make money or something like that, and they end up dying in captivity. Obviously,
They are. I wouldn't catch one. I don't condone that, but they are.
Because they're cute, you know, like a lot of Asians.
They look like aliens.
A lot of Asians are about like cute stuff, like cute little doggies and like cute pets. And I think that's a problem because I remember in Taiwan, people will get like puppies, and then when they get older, they get rid of them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So they want like cute, tiny little stuff.
I see.
Like
Miniature, and when they get big, okay, fair enough. So
I don't know, I just connected that.
yeah, no, I forgot about that too. I remember. So yeah, we had a really good time, and one neat thing about Bahal is we went on a riverboat. It was like a riverboat
Oh my
lunch,
God, I forgot about that.
and she was the star of the show.
Oh, I was.
Yo,
I don't
Caitlin was
remember.
the star of the show. Normally in Taiwan,
Oh.
like I think there were not. What's up, Sarah? There were not many black people in Taiwan. Period. I think while we lived there in the 2 years,
We met a couple people and they were African.
yeah, but African Americans probably less than 5 in my whole 2 years. Not many. Anytime I went there, it was equivalent to like walking down the street and seeing somebody with like walking down the street with like purple skin. It's like, yo, what is that?
Yeah, they pushed me out the way and be like, hey, can I get a picture? I'm like,
Yeah,
hey, can you take my picture?
they tell her, you know, well,
I'm like,
their grandkids or something like that.
This chick better get out of here.
Anyways, on this riverboat lunch thing, it was dope.
that.
Everybody wanted to take a picture with her.
Why?
You know why?
No, I don't know why.
You know why?
I don't even remember.
She was dripping with that juice.
You are too much.
Just kidding. But
I was a little bit juicier. I was a little bit thicker. I was
right?
a little bit thicker
Who
from
told
Taiwan.
you that? Who told you that? No, that's true.
It's true. You know, I did a little more drinking.
We had a good time.
A little bit more snacking.
we had a good time, but it was
so
really
my
cool.
thighs were popping.
The riverboat was dope. It was dope. Like they did like a little dance, like a little native dance and stuff like that, and it was a good time. Yeah.
And half part of me was kind of like, I feel bad for these kids. They're probably being made to
She
do
felt
this.
that they were being exploited. The dance for they had like a local dance, and you know they were doing. Yeah, it was. But we enjoyed it. We still remember them, so it wasn't for naught. You know, we still remember them.
I totally forgot about that riverboat.
Yeah, so
We
it was
have
cool,
pictures from that
and it
too.
was a nice feast. It wasn't just like a brunch type of thing. It was a whole
Yeah, they had
feast.
chicken wings.
Everything you could think of. It was buffets on either side. And the thing about the Philippines is like no matter which direction you looked at, it was a pretty beautiful setting. You know what I mean?
Very beautiful.
It's lush. You know, it's tropical, so it's lush everywhere. Green, beautiful waters, warm weather, exotic plants and animals.
Mm-hmm.
So and then the people are super friendly. That's the part that we haven't touched on. I know we talked about Manila and how you may travel around Manila if you can.
Right. Travel. I think that if we did it, we'd get to Manila and then just go somewhere else. Yeah. Straight away.
Yeah, that's what we would do. But the people were fantastic. The people, they were very hospitable. So I want to make sure we give a shout out to the Filipino and Filipinas because it was basically we were just visitors coming and experiencing their culture, their lifestyle, their way of life, kind of just thinking about how they were like putting on for the whole dance and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's cool, and that's one thing. Some travelers or people that travel give Americans a bad rap because we have everything in America and I don't know. We take things for granted just because we have everything, and for cultures and people that don't have as much as we do, they appreciate more.
Really don't
and
have.
we have a certain level of expectation. Running water, for example, you know what I mean?
Power all day.
Regular power.
Flushing the toilet.
Yeah, you had to pour the water down the toilets so that it would work. So like little stuff like that, like some people may like frown up like, oh, well, we can't stay here, or this isn't like up to my standard, and feel some kind of way about it. But it was a fantastic place, and if you could get past some of those norms or things that you're accustomed to. I mean, it's a great experience, a good time. You know what I'm saying? It's a great time. So,
But yeah, so oh, when we were in Cebu / Bohol / Pongo Island, we did another like tour. We went to see dolphins and then we went scuba diving. We'd never been scuba diving, and technically you're supposed to have a license, but it's the Philippines.
yeah, you don't need a license to
Right.
go diving. Tell us about the diving experience, because I know how my experience went. I'll be back.
We have a lot of friends that are like do diving and like go to
licensed
different
divers,
licensed divers, and they you want to take her and maybe try to do something with her. I'm very tired of holding her all day. Thank you.
So bye-bye.
So yeah, so we were only doing like 5. I was about to say 5 feet. No, 5 yards. They go by yards, right? Like 5, 10, 15. So we were only doing 5 yards, and that was quite the experience. Dion and I were both trying not to freak out when we got underwater, because it's like they're like, oh, just breathe normal, but you can't really breathe normal because it's not like one of those like snorkeling mask things. It's like you put it on and you have to like purposely breathe. You're like, because it stops, right? So that was difficult, and the whole time I was not listening to the guy. I was just like trying to keep level-headed and not freak out. I mean, we were only 5 yards down, so it wasn't terrible. But I felt bad for Dion because they didn't have his shoe size, and it was like these rubber shoes that they wanted you to put on, because you're walking on like rocks and all kinds of stuff at the bottom, and they did not have a shoe size, so he wore a different shoe, but it was just like terrible. It was so painful. It was like 4 sizes too small, he said. So I felt bad, but I didn't even know how bad it was. And his foot, here's the shoe, and his foot was literally like this, crunched in the shoe. And so like we finish up that and we get out. But there's like rocks, and the gear is so heavy. Like the oxygen tanks are so heavy. Like, I threw out my back from it. So like a long time ago, I got a slip disc in my back. And so like if ever I carry something like too heavy or whatever, like I can throw out my back. This was like the 3rd time in my life that I've ever thrown out my back. And of course it was while we were on vacation. But it was towards the end of our trip, so it was all good. But yeah, I threw out my back from that, and I was like, what? And it wasn't like right away. It was kind of like over the next few days that we were there. But, what, baby? What? Coin?
Yeah, coin's
Clean? I don't know what he's saying.
Hey, what's my pocket?
1 minute and 40 seconds.
Hey, what's my pocket?
Does live have a limit?
I don't know.
It says like 1 minute and blah 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 seconds remaining.
Must.
What?
We'll end it and do another one.
Yeah, we'll just continue after it's done. I didn't think we were going that long, honestly. But anyways,
It's moving.
and when we were there, they have a lot of these like mango smoothie drinks. Oh, so delicious. I miss mango so much, but it's just mangoes into like a slushy. You remember?
Yeah, it was good.
Don't give him those because Ava's out there. Thank you. Yeah, so then after Cebu and Bohol, we made our way over to Boracay, right?
Yeah, that's pretty
Not Boracay, which is the tourist destination. right? It's the most touristy or whatever. And that was nice because it was just kind of relaxing. They had a lot of like Western style places to eat and a lot of shopping.
I don't
what?
think you can I don't think you can undersell. You can't undersell the having the Western.
Hold on. Let's well, yours says like 8 seconds.
How
So if
long-
this runs out, then we'll come back on.